everyone, welcome to my studio. If you're new to my studio, I'm working on a big mosaic that's 36 feet long. I have a partner named Jennifer Freeman. We're almost done with panels 1 and 2. I have 3 and 4 on the workbench that I'm working on today. So let me show you. Here are panels 3 and 4. They include the letters D and U, the beginning of Dunwoody. And one thing that we are doing just to help these letters stand out a little bit from the background is they are going to be stained glass and the background is going to be porcelain tile, but we are also outlining them. So for the outline, we're using a combination of 3/8 inch tiles and 3/4 inch tiles that have been cut in half. So what I need to do first is cut a whole bunch of the 3/4 inch in half so that I have this size. And if you have ever cut these tiles in half, you know that there's going to be a little bit of waste. So expect a little bit of waste. I'll just show you how I do it. So there are ridges. This one happens to have lines along the back. Sometimes it's more of a grid. But what I like to do is put my nippers perpendicular to that grid with the bumpy side down. So it's like this, only upside down. And then nip. And I find that way my nippers don't slip into the grooves and mess up the cut. I've just found I have better success if I do it perpendicular to the grooves. That's it. To mix up thinset to put the ceramic pieces on, I'm going to go ahead and attach the vitreous tile with thinset. Now normally I don't like thinset with glass, but that's more like stained glass because it's so thin and hard to control how much you put on. You have to be super careful. But with the back of the vitreous tile, it's made to grip onto the thinset and it's going to work just fine. So I'm going to be putting a bead down and then putting the pieces in the bead. Of the week. Looking great. this wonderful master plan of the mosaic that we're working on. I've already finished all of these fused pieces in the bushes, these in the trees, and these in these trees. And now I'm starting perhaps the most complicated area of all, which are these bushes, because there's so many different sections and overlaps there. We have this area that's purple, and I'm not gonna make it purple. I'm gonna make it green. Jennifer and I decided it would read better as a bush if it were green, and that will keep all these fused pieces green, which makes more sense. So that is changing to green. And then I have this huge section coming up, and then those last bushes down there. So I'm gonna focus on these right now. They are on panel 7, and they end on panel 8. And then I'm gonna start those, which start on panel 8. This is the edge of panel 5, and it continues down here. So as you can see, I've already glued all those in, and that's good to go. And then at the bottom of panel, that's panel 6, at the bottom of panel 6 is this little corner. So I've already selected the glass for this. So these are gonna be the colors that start the bushes that are on panel 7. And what we've decided is to try to go more bold inside the letter O and a little bit more muted on the outside. So now here I am, this is the bottom of 7, and then this is panel 8. So I'm gonna be looking at this area first, and then I'm gonna move up to the top of 8. And I've already selected a lot of the glass, but I think there's a few little areas that need to be determined. There's just so many small areas in here, and they don't really take much at all. The easiest way for me to figure this out is to just put the pieces on that I've already planned, and then make sure that they work together with the pieces that are next to them, or swap things out as needed. And then I'll know what I need to make and what I have enough of already. Here's everything I have all laid out. It gives me a great idea of what I need to make.
Good morning. I'm going to do some filming today, which is something that Julie usually does, and I'm not really familiar with, so I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. But I'm going to be laying thin setting several square feet of tile today that has already been placed. Well, here we've got several square feet of tiles that I have already laid, and I don't like to work this way because it's slower. So I will have to pick up every one of these pieces and put my thin set on the back and reaffix them. Whereas normally I would just go ahead and nip and glue the pieces down as I go. But the reason I haven't done that here is because we have so many colors going on and so many swaths of color that I need to make sure that what I'm working with makes sense. For example, in this third area right here, I'm going to darken that up a little bit before I glue it. I'm going to go ahead and affix the pieces that are already down. And the other thing I wanted to mention is in this area, for example, my greens are a little bit thicker than my blues and my yellow. We don't mind a little bit of a difference in terms of the height of the tiles because it gives some texture that we're okay with. But when I thin set my tiles, I am going to actually add a little bit more thin set to the back of this blue tile to raise it up so that it is the same height, or roughly the same height as one of the thicker tiles next to it.
Just finished the tremendous task of gluing all the pieces that I had laid out, with the exception of that blue, because I'll be using thin set for that. And now I'm going to start finishing some of these areas. And believe me, it is going to feel wonderful to get some of these areas finished. I think I'm going to start over here and work my way up. We are going to be cutting a seam here and then another seam across panel 4. to split them. So I've been marking them with tape. Eventually we'll take the tape off. It's just so that I don't forget that I can't glue those pieces that are on the seam. And then we'll face tape that and store that until it's time to install it. But it's going to be great to finish some of these areas because everything has just been started and nothing's finished, and it's kind of making me bonkers. This one I might finish today too, just because it's so small. But that is calling my name over there, so I'm going to start over there. I brought Fusey to come take a look at it with me. Growing Dunwoody's Public Art, Womack Mosaic Coming, 2024. Good grief, that's a big wall. Now that I've spent the time laying the pieces out for fusing, I know which colors I need to make so I can get back on track with loading the kiln and making fused tree pieces and bush pieces.
looks good.
I have to say, this has just been such a fun part of this whole project. Finally getting to fill in and use some of these fantastic ring-mottled glasses with the blues, and using my inclusions finally, and finally using some of these gorgeous iridized tiles, which might be hard to pick up on, but look at this. It was so great to use that. I'm finally using my pinks that I fused, and I think this may be the most beautiful glass ever, which I didn't realize until I was up close using it. It's got some adventuring green in it, which gives it just a little bit of sparkle. It's just amazing glass. And so putting each piece in was just an absolute joy, seeing how gorgeous each one was. I really enjoyed that process. These gorgeous streaky colors as well. I just love using the glass, and finally getting these areas filled in, it was so satisfying. So next week, hopefully I'll finish the rest of the D, the rest of the U. I might tackle that tree up there, and I may even go to Jennifer's and finish panels 1 and 2.
This last week, I have been working on panel 12, the fields that go off to the right on panel 12. But I am now in a different location than my home studio. So I'm going to show you what I'm working on here. This is the top portion of panel 12. It's sky and clouds and so forth. And that has been completed for a couple of weeks. But because I was going to be away from my home studio, what I do is I transport what I can to work on at a different location. So what I'm working on right now is panel 11, and I'm continuing the sky, both the blue and white portion. So for example, right up here is where the two panels go together. And of course they come all the way down here. So what we have to plan for is where the panels come together when we install them. So what I've done is I've continued the sky, and we'll continue the white part above it, but I have marked, and I don't know if you can see it, I have marked each of the pieces with a small little dot that goes right down the line where the panels meet. And what we'll do is we will not glue those down yet, but I'll tape that whole segment of pieces and we'll lift it off. When we actually install the hard panels, we will put that back at installation and set it and grout it on site.
That's putting it together. Thanks for watching. See you next time.